G'day, it's Luke here from Restart. Today I'm just going to take you through what I do for mobility when I'm heading into a lower body workout. So for example, like a squat workout, or if I'm doing some deadlifts, I really find this band assisted mobility routine great to open up my hips and really prepares me well for the ensuing workout. Okay, so exercise number one, I'm going to start with a stretch to open up and stretch and lengthen the back of my body. Alright, I really find this to be an important movement heading into some squats. So the band is at hip height. I'm going to step one leg through and have the band right at the top of the thigh. Okay? And I just want to step out a little bit just so there's a bit of resistance. Okay? Being a strong band, I can't go too far. And then setting up in a slightly staggered stance. From there, I'm just going to hinge forward and have my fingertips on the ground. Okay? For someone with more mobility, you might be able to go flat. Okay? For someone with less mobility, hands on an elevated object. Okay? And from here, keeping my bum high to the sky, I'm just going to extend this leg. That's when I feel the stretch. And when I bend that knee, the stretch drops off. Okay? So we're going to do 10 repetitions. Stretch. And no stretch. Okay, exercise number two, now I'm going to focus more on the front of my body and get some good length and mobility through the front of my hips specifically. Okay, so this time I'm going to loop the band around the back of your upper thigh, okay, just below your bum cheek. Alright, and you're going to kneel into this position. Obviously if you need a bit of padding under the knee, you can roll up a towel or have a mat. In this position here, I don't want to resist the band. The band is here to help the stretch, okay? So I just want to allow my hips to come forward, alright, and the band to assist that movement. In this position now, I feel a nice lengthening through this front hip and even down into my quad muscles, alright? So with my hips square and level, I just want to rock gently forward to feel the stretch increase, and then rock back to feel the stretch just drop off a little bit, alright? After doing about 20-30 seconds of that, you can bring in some arm movement, so an arm driver forwards, you can do an arm driver sideways to open up the outside of the hip. Alright, I can even do some rotation movements as well. So overall, spending about a minute working through those 3 different positions, alright, and it's going to be really beneficial to open up the hip, especially if I've had a day more so where I've been sitting with my hips flexed for long periods. Okay, the next exercise I want to focus more on my ankle mobility, okay? And the way we're going to do this is through like an ankle, it's called ankle flossing. So I've got a low band attachment now, okay? And looping one foot through, we're going to have the band right at the base of your shin, where your shin effectively meets your foot, okay? And I've just got this slight raised platform because we want to have the pull of the band on a slight downward angle, okay? You can do it flat without a raise, but this is a good way to do it also. So when I'm in this position, I feel that band, alright, there's some good resistance there. All I'm going to do now for 12 reps is just take my knee over my foot, okay? So I'm sort of effectively flexing my ankle, alright, it's called dorsiflexion. When I'm taking my knee over my foot, I want to angle my knee over about my 3rd toe, okay? The importance of that is we don't want, when you come forward, the ankle to roll in and the knee to come inside the big toe, okay? So when I'm angling my ankle forward, I'm driving that knee on an ever so slight outward angle, okay? This is not one where you're going to feel a big stretch, alright, but it is mobilizing the ankle, which is going to be really positive for my squat technique. Okay, so I'm going to come back up to my hips now and focus on an external rotation hip mobilizer. Alright, so the band is now at knee height once again. I'm going to step the band through and have the band right at the top of your inner thigh. Okay. Now I've got this box here which does help it make it a little easier to get into this position. Alright, so essentially I want you to come into this position here. Okay, we've got one foot planted and the other foot back behind you. Okay. Now what I want to do in this position is I'm thinking about taking this knee and this knee in opposite directions, okay? As soon as I do that, I feel a greater lengthening through my groin, alright? Keeping my big toe grounded then, I'm just going to take my knee over my foot and then take my knee outwards, which is going to increase that external rotation range through my right hip. Okay? Come back to where I started and rock back slightly. Alright? So rock forward, out, back, and rock back to where you started. Forwards, out, coming back in, and here. Spending about 30 to 60 seconds going through those motions before changing legs. Okay, my final band assisted exercise is now to encourage greater internal rotation through my hip, okay? So this is band at knee height, okay? I'm going to step through and have the band on the inside of my thigh once again. Now I'm just going to edge myself away from the attachment just a little bit so there's a small amount of resistance on the band, okay? I'm going to set up in all fours with my toes tucked under, alright? From there, I'm just going to, keeping my knee flat, take my lower leg outwards, which is bringing this hip into more internal rotation, okay? And then all I want to do is rock my bum back over my heels, okay? Alright, so effectively the body is moving around a hip that is in more internal rotation. Alright, not forcing the range, okay? But just going back to where you feel your body's happy to go back to, alright, and not forcing anything. So why do I focus on hip mobility before doing squats? I really find it's helpful to get that internal and external mobility through my hips, essentially to enhance the mobility through the joint. There's something called the joint by joint theory where looking at the body as a whole, one joint we want mobile, the following joint to be more stable. So in terms of the hips, we want the hips to be mobile, and then that will help the lumbar spine to be more stable. Personally, I know if my hips are jammed up and rigid and stiff, it really affects my squat. I find that I'm not able to get as much depth, and I find that I'm compensating and getting more rounding and sort of stiffness through my back and lumbar spine as well.